Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, let's make a classic yellow rice and beans recipe, but Puerto Rican style. Now, while there are many variations of rice and beans all over Latin America, I personally believe that Puerto Rican rice and beans is pretty top. The addition of sofrito, pork, and all of the heavy spices just makes this recipe a very unique and delicious take on rice and beans. So let's get into it. So before we jump into this recipe, I wanted to show you guys really quick my absolute favorite brand of rice, which is Arroz Rico from Puerto Rico. Now, I'm able to find this brand here in the States at Walmart. They also sell it in long grain varieties, but for this recipe and for any mixed rice recipes, I love using medium grain. I just find the texture to just be better. And really quick, I wanted to show you how the grains look. It is a true medium grain. All of the pieces are very uniform. There are no irregular pieces of rice. Now, if you do not have medium grain or you can't find it, long grain rice is acceptable, and I'll let you know in the description box below the water adjustment for long grain rice. All right, so let's jump right into it. I have here a medium-sized caldero, and I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of oil. I normally like to add 1 tablespoon of oil per cup of rice. I'm going to be using 2 cups of rice for this recipe, but since I'm going to saute about 1/3 cup of bacon, that's going to release a lot of fat. Therefore, that's why I'm only adding just 1 tablespoon of oil. And I'm just going to saute this up and brown it until it's nice and golden. All right, so my bacon is done. It is nice and golden, just as if I were to cook my morning bacon. So not undercooked and not overcooked, just nice in the middle. That took a couple of minutes. Then I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of my fresh homemade sofrito, which I do have 2 videos on how I make it. Give that a good stir. Remember, the word sofrito is a play on the word sofreír, which means to saute, because that's exactly what we do with it. Now it's time to add a bit of tomato sauce, and I'm adding 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. I normally like to add things in equal parts, so 2 tablespoons of sofrito, 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce, etc. And really quick, I wanted to show you the tomato sauce that I have been using from Goya that I really enjoy. It's this one. It has cebolla, ajo, y cilantro, which is onion, garlic, and cilantro. It's really good. Give that a good stir. Add a bit of pimientos and Spanish olives. Even if you're not a fan of olives, I feel like a mixed rice is not complete without a couple of them in there. And then 1 pack of Goya Sazón with culantro y achote, and 1 packet of Goya pork Sazón. By the way, if you do not know what culantro y achote is, culantro is a spiny flat leaf coriander, and achote is annatto, which is what gives it its red color. Then instead of salt, I'm using this Lori's Casero Total Seasoning. I usually add spices in my rice anyway, so I found this to be an acceptable substitute. This has garlic, onion, dried cilantro, parsley, etc. It's really good. It's my favorite all-purpose seasoning so far. And I'm gonna add a bit of that, I'm gonna start at 1/2 teaspoon or so. Give that a good mix. I'm going to add 1 can of drained red beans. Make sure you're using red beans, not kidney beans, not chili beans, just regular red beans. Then I'm going to add 2.5 cups of water. Gonna stir everything really well to combine. I'm then gonna fetch a clean spoon and I'm gonna give it a little taste test. I like to make sure that the salt is good in this. Now, it shouldn't be too salty like the sea. It should be like a notch below that. It should be salty enough. Now, since I'm using all-purpose seasoning and not straight up salt, I'm gonna add a little more, but you're gonna add according to your taste. And then I'm gonna wait for my water to come up to a boil. All right, so my water has come to a boil and I'm going to add 2 cups of medium grain rice that I rinsed in cold water. Now remember, I used 2.5 cups of water and 2 cups of medium grain rice. If you are using long grain rice, I'll be sure to include those adjustments in the description box below where all of my ingredients will be. I'm gonna give that a good stir to combine. As you can see, I feel like the water to rice ratio is perfect. It should feel like a very thick soup. It shouldn't feel too thin. And then once my rice just comes to a simmer, I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm going to set my heat to medium. That's between the 4 and the 5, around there. And I'm going to allow it to cook until most of the water has evaporated. So it took about 5 minutes for my rice to get to this point. So you can see there's some water present, but most of it has evaporated. That's good. And the rice is about halfway cooked. It should not be completely cooked and it should not be super raw. It should be nice and in the middle. So I'm gonna give everything a good stir under and over, just kind of like in a folding motion, as if you were mixing like cake batter. And yeah, so I'm gonna mix it really well so that the beans can be well incorporated within the rice. And then I like to use my spoon and kind of create a little mountain in my caldero. I like to just bring it to the middle so that while it's cooking, it's not sticking too much to the sides of the pot. Now, it's going to stick on the bottom if you're using a caldero especially. That is normal. Don't worry about that. So after I bring it to the middle, I'm going to cover it with my lid. I'm going to set my heat to low. That is about the number 2 on an electric stove. And I'm just going to let it do its thing. I may stir it just once, but other than that, it will remain covered for the remainder of the cooking time. And after about 20 minutes, my rice is complete. It came out perfectly fluffy, but also moist because nobody likes dry rice. It is perfection. If I'm being completely honest, this is the absolute best red beans and yellow rice that I have ever made. So I really hope you guys try this recipe. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It will mean the world to me. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section down below if you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Also, hit that notification bell because a new video will be out every week. Until next time.